Hello, everyone. Welcome along. It's Betting Weekly WTA. It's a new week of tennis betting ahead of the Olympic Games, which starts next week. So we've got two 250 events across Europe, one in Romania and one in Czech Republic over in Prague. Delighted to say joining me, as per usual, on a Sunday afternoon to look ahead to the two tournaments this week and all the WTA action is our WTA handicapper. It's Rory Jiwani. Good morning to you, or good afternoon to you, Rory. How are you? And a bit of technical issues there, but
Just a few.
we've managed to get around. You right?
Yeah, not too bad. It's blooming boiling here. Yeah, not too bad. Bit of a disappointing week. It was trappy, 250, similar to this week, actually. Had promising starts in Palermo. Martina Trevisan took the first set of Arantxa Rus and then lost. Lucia Bronzetti won her first round match and then ran into Jacqueline Christian. And in Budapest, Alina Avanesian got out of jail against Rebecca Masarova and then was a set and a break up before losing to Anna Karolina Schmidlova in the quarterfinals. The top seeds both reached the finals. Diana Schneider in Budapest, she's playing Alexandra Sasnovic, who's rolled back the years, coming from nowhere to reach the final there. And in Palermo, it's the top two seeds, defending champion Qin Wensheng against Karolina Mukova, who started really poorly, really scrappily, but has played some great stuff in the last couple of matches. So no joy there, but yeah, onwards and upwards. And it's a strange week, this one. I said last week was strange. This week's really strange. Two 250s, no form to go on, particularly, because in Prague, it was on hard court last year. It switched to clay this year. So that's weird. And then the tournament in Romania, in Iasi, that was a challenger last 2 years and has been upgraded to a 250. And these tournaments starting today and finishing on the Friday, because we've got the Olympic tournament starting on the Saturday. So it's a bit of a strange week.
A very strange week indeed, but it doesn't matter how strange it is. We'll have you covered here on Betting Weekly Studios. Looking at, we're looking at these trends of this tournament. You've broken it down very well there. The change of surface, and obviously the fact this one has been upgraded. The one thing that is a standout though is how well home-based players do in both of these tournaments. We come on to that in a minute. So we'll start off with the tournament in Czechoslovakia in Prague. Before we look at the runners and riders, which really, it's quite interesting to look at the players. It's not the best of fields. What are the conditions like? What are the weather going to be like? It's a clay surface. Is it a fast clay? Is it a slow clay? What are the rundown? It's pretty unknown though, isn't it? What do we know about it? What do we know? That's the big question.
Yeah, we don't know much. Is the simple answer. I've been watching some of the action earlier, and yeah, it's been an interesting viewing in Prague. It looks to be a little bit quicker than the normal clay. Some of the rallies seem to be sort of going a bit quicker than you'd expect. I mean, going back to last week's tournament, Palermo played really quickly. Budapest was really slow. So yeah, it's hard to tell. To the eye, it looks a little bit quicker here in Prague. Weather-wise, tomorrow looks like a washout. After that, pretty pleasant mid-20s Celsius, so high 70s Fahrenheit for most of the week. But yeah, it's a weird tournament because the top seeds look pretty vulnerable to my eye.
Let's have a look at those top seeds. And as I said, this tournament is 5 of the last 9 years. Well, they've only been going for 9 years, but 5 of the last 9 years, it's been won by a home-based player. So the Czech players do rather well in it. And the top 2 seeds are Czechs. The number 1 seed is Linda Noskova. She's in the top half of the draw, alongside Podroskva, Lineta, Tomova in the top half. In the bottom half, we have Frick, Kalanina, Schmedlova, and Siniakova. So the number 1 and the number 2 seed are both Czechs. Here are the odds with Bet Rivers. Siniakova is a 3-1 favourite, joint favourite with Noskova. So the number 1, number 2 seed dominate the market. Czech players do well. Kalanina plus 550. I quite like the look of her actually when I looked at the draw. Lynette is 10. Tomova is 12. Magdalena Frick is 14. Masarova 20. Schmedlova 20. Manero 20. Lai 20. Podoroska 28, which is a big price really considering her early start to season clay court form, but she's been pretty bad since then. And then we go into some of the unknowns, 33-1 and 40-1 about the betting. I mean, the one thing you've got to say about it is that we spoke last week, a week after a major in a 250, we thought that the favourites might be vulnerable. And this week we've seen the top 2 seeds get through to the final. The top 2 seeds should dominate here in terms of Noskova and Siniakova. They have the home support. They have the record. The home team players do very, very well. But you're not too sure about these top two at the odds offered by Bet Rivers 3-1.
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. Noskova hasn't done a great deal on clay. I mean, she was a runner-up last year, but as mentioned, that was on hard court. She did win a couple of ITF tournaments going back a couple of years, though, on the dirt. But her record on tour is pretty poor. Siniakova's last clay title on the main tour came back in 2017 at Bastad in Sweden. She beat Caroline Wozniacki in the final. But I suspect she's one player who'll have half an eye on the Olympics. Now, she and Barbara Krejcikova are the defending Olympic champions in women's doubles. They won all the slams as well. They split last year. They're back together in the doubles this week here in Prague. Krejcikova's not playing the singles. She's concentrating on the doubles this week, and then she will play the singles at Roland Garros. Siniakova won't be playing the singles in Paris. Now, because of the Olympics, as I mentioned, the finals of both this week's tournaments are on Friday. But I think Siniakova will be sort of looking a bit more focused on the doubles than the singles this week. And, as I say, she hasn't done a lot on clay for a long time. As far as the draw goes, I mean, the 4 seeds in the top half look pretty vulnerable. You've got Noskova Podoroska, who's been in awful form of late. And last time I looked, she was trailing. She did actually start today. Tomova, who I think she's flattered by her world ranking, to be honest, which leaves by process of elimination the top Magda Linette, who's had some good wins on clay this season. In Rouen, she beat Arantxa Rus and Angelina Canelina to reach the final. She lost to Sloane Stephens. In Strasbourg, she defeated Sorana Kirstia and Katerina Alexandrova to reach the quarterfinals. She was well beaten there by Madison Keys. This isn't a strong field, and I think with Tomova in that same quarter, I think that's a very winnable quarter for her. The winner of the match between Suzanne Lammens, the Dutch player, and Rebecca Masarova might be the biggest threat in that quarter to Linette. I'd be a bit worried if Linette met Noskova in the semis, because the Czech is the sort of player she struggles against. She's got big serve, big ground strokes. But Noskova's got to get there, and I'd be against her. So 9-1 is Linette's price, $9 before play today. I don't think it will change that much. So I'm keen on Linette in the top half. In the bottom half, I totally get what you're saying about Kalinina. But if she was showing any sort of form, and she's just been really out of form of late, she hasn't played since Wimbledon, and she's got a tricky opener against a Czech player in Sara Beznek, the young left-hander. But, that bottom half, all the 4 seeds, you've got Kalinina, Siniakova, Schmidlova and Frey, all look capable of doing here. Beznek would actually be my lively outsider, Kalinina's first round opponent. But for me, I'm just going to stick to Linette in the top half. $9, 1 point each way. I just think the bottom half is a lot trickier. I think you want to be looking at the top half.
Looking at the app here, 10-1 was the last price with Bet River, so we might get a little bit better price. So 10-1. Nice. We need the points. We're not going to do ourselves out of a point if she goes on to win the tournament. So there's 10-1 is around about the price for Linette. She is in the top half of the draw. She's number 4 seed. Plays a qualifying round 1. Should progress through to the last 16 fairly comfortably, maybe even quarterfinals fairly comfortably. We don't really know. Noskova could be her opponent, but it's a tricky event, as as Rory said there, because of the changing of surface. So it's a very, very interesting event this week, and that is a tournament in Prague. So head across to the Bet Rivers website now. You'll be able to see the odds probably on Monday morning when the market is reformed. But Rory's very keen to oppose the front 2 in the markets, Siniakova and Noskova. But the Czech players do very well in this tournament, so it's a word of caution if you're taking that. But the value on the draw is Linette at currently 10-1 with Bet Rivers. There'll be a whole host of different matches as well available for the play on Monday, and it will probably start around about 6 o'clock Eastern time. So make sure you get on nice and early, probably even early in that, probably around about 5-4 o'clock. We're not quite sure of the order of play yet, but it'll be very early. So make sure you get across this evening. There is another tournament this week, and it is over in Romania. Again, it's on clay. Again, it's a 250 event, and yet again, it's a tournament that has been done served well by home-based players. Obviously, this has been upgraded to a 250, but the last 2 years since it's been going, both years have been won by the Romanian player Bogdan. She's not in the event this year, but there are a whole host of Romanian players, as you can gather. Again, it's tricky, Rory, to gauge some form guide into this or to what to expect, but you've been watching the action again closely in the build-up through qualifiers. What have you made the conditions here over in Romania?
Yeah, well, I did actually crunch the numbers from last year. As I said, we said as a challenger, and just looked at the service hold, and it was slow. It was very slow. I think I'm gonna have to bring it up here. I think it was about 58.5 for service hold percentage. Yeah, 58.5%, which is very slow. As pretty much as slow as you'll get on the tour. Obviously, slightly different quality of players. I mean, it's been upgraded, so we do have a slightly better field, but not by much. I mean, it was funny. I think because last year you had two 250s at the same time, but the top Romanian players went to this challenger instead. So you did have Begu, and I mean Anna Bogdan beat Irina Begu in the final, and you'd had a couple of other good Romanians as well. So even though it's been upgraded, the quality of player hasn't gone up that much, apart from one exception, who's the market leader in the top seed in Mirra Andreeva. But weather-wise, lots of rain forecast for Thursday. Otherwise, it's quite nice. High 20s Celsius, so that's low 80s Fahrenheit all week. Yeah, Bogdan's not there, which is a bit of a shame. But as you say, plenty of Romanians in the field. But Mirra Andreeva is the top seed and the very short-priced favourite.
Yeah, Mirra Andreeva is the #1 seed. She's at the top of the market as well. We come on to the odds in a minute. But if you look at the top half of the draw, the seeds are Andreeva, Trevisan, Blinkova, and Bondar. In the bottom half with Avansayan, we have Christian, Jacqueline Christian, who I think is going to go quite well here, the Romanian. Carly, the Argentinian, who's put some good form together. And Titiana Maria, the German, I would say veteran, really. But it looks a trappy little draw. I don't think there's really much of advantage in the top or the bottom half, but any sort of leans towards where you want to be positioned?
Yeah, I think the bottom half is a bit easier. And looking at Andreeva, who, as you say, she's the favourite. I mean, she doesn't have the easiest opener against Germany's Noma Noha Akugwe. I hope I've said that for now.
It was easy for you to say. I would have just said the German girl.
The German.
The German girl.
She pushed Mukova close this week in Budapest. In Palermo. And then round 2, she'll probably have Alexandra Sasnovic, who's in the Budapest final today. So she's found. And then round 3, possibly Martina Trevisan or Olga Danilovic. So first 3 matches for Andreeva look quite hard. It gets easier after that. But she hasn't been in the best of form. And I think she's vulnerable early on. I'll be opposing her in each match, I think, until she gets beaten, if she gets beaten. So there's threats in the top half. I think the bottom half is a bit easier, and in particular the bottom quarter, because Tatiana Maria is the second seed, and she's in awful form at the moment. She's really not. She's barely won a match recently. In that bottom quarter, you've got Irina Begu, who reached the final here last year. She reached the semis in Palermo this week. She was thumped by Mukova, but there's no one of that quality in this field. And I don't see Begu facing a difficult match until the semi-finals, when she'd probably face either Elena Avanesian, Petra Martic, or Jacqueline Christian. I'd still fancy Begu against either of those, all 3 of those. So I'm definitely looking at the bottom half. And I'm definitely backing Begu.
Before you give us your,
we need the odds,
let's have a look at these odds. I mean, Mirra Andreeva, as you say, is a very, very low favourite. She's plus 125. I think we all know she's a fantastic talent, but the pressure on this girl every time she takes to the court. Is she playing in the Olympics, Andreeva?
No Russian players.
Oh yes, sorry, no Russian. So this is a big tournament for her. Obviously, ahead of the Olympics, she won't be playing. So you can see why she's probably plus 125. But the anticipation every time she takes the court, she's a very artificially low price. Beguit's at 5. Danilovic is 9. Avansayan is 11. Christian is 14. Petra Martic is 14. Rus is 14. Carly is 16. Trevisan is 16. 20-1 bar with some sort of decentness of players at big prices. Bonda 33-1. Blinkova at 50. Interesting betting. But I think what you're trying to say, despite the fact that Andreeva isn't playing in the Olympics, the plus 125, the market share that has been allocated to the young Russian girl must mean that there's a value elsewhere in the draw.
Yeah, and as I said, I think on paper she's got 3 tough matches to start, and no guarantee she'll get through those. So I think Begu is the one at $5. Pretty easy route through to the semi-finals. As I say, she could face Avanesi and Martic or Christian, who are all pretty close in the betting. And I couldn't really pick between the 3 of them. But I think Begu might just be that bit above those 3. And as I said, part of me is wondering if I should have another dart in that bottom half, but I find it hard to pick between Avanesi and Martic and Christian. Christian does have home advantage, of course, so that might play into your thinking if you're considering someone at a bigger price. But I think I'm just going to stick with Begu, and I'm going to have a 2 point each way bet on Begu. $5 isn't the biggest price in the world, but she looks by far the safest proposition. Obviously, beaten in the final here last year. Decent showing this week, reaching the semis. Weaker tournament. I think this is hers for the taking. And if Andreeva gets through in the top half, then we'll get our place money. But I think Begu is a bigger price than I thought she would be here.
Yeah, if you look at the main draw, there is 5 Romanians in the main draw. Well, we haven't seen the qualifiers just yet, but there's 5 players, women in the main draw who are Romanian, and Begu certainly will lead her country's hopes here in the bottom half of the draw, which is probably the easier draw, so it's logical to make the each way play. Remember, with Bet Rivers, you get half the odds about your player if she makes the final. So she's $5 to win it, so you get plus 250 if she makes the final. And if she plays anybody other than Andreeva in the final, she'll be an overwhelming favourite. So that's a nice each way play there in Romania. That's pretty much it this week. I mean, it's a short show. There's not really much to talk about. We're in the build-up to the Olympics. Rory, you're heading out to the Olympics sort of Tuesday, are you? You're out to Paris for the fortnight?
I am indeed, yes.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here because not many people will know this, Rory, but Rory is an expert on track and field and athletics. He's Olympics. He does a lot of work on the Olympic channel, and he'll be out there covering the Olympics. Away from tennis, Rory, what's your best bet for the Olympics for us?
Oh, there's a question. There are 2 which are interesting. One I've already sort of released publicly, if you like, and that's France's men in the volleyball, because they won the recent Nations League. So there's an obscure one, men's volleyball. And the other one's track and field. I think the price is still there. Hopefully it is. Marco Arop in the men's 800 meters. He's Kenyan-born Canadian. He's the reigning world champion. But he's out to double figures now because you've got the Algerian Sejati. He's been tearing up the diamond and clocking really fast times, like sub 142 times. But the thing I always tell people with the Olympics, with track and field, especially in middle distance events, the Diamond League, they've got pacemakers all year. When you're at competitive races, there's no pacemakers. So it's much more tactical. So, people who have been tearing it up in the Diamond League don't necessarily repeat that in the World Championships and Olympics because there are no pacemakers. So Marco Arop, he tends to run from the front, and he'll be able to do that because there's no pacemakers. And he was so impressive last year. I think he's still double figures for the men's 800 meters. So that would be my bet on the track.
There you have it. So you come on for the tennis show. You're getting Olympic tips as well. You got, what was it, volleyball tips. You've got track and field picks as well. Rory will be over at the Olympics following. What's your Twitter account, Rory, if anyone wants to follow you over in Paris?
It's at Rory Jiwani. So,
there you go. So give him a follow. I might have to get Rory to do some videos for us here because we win for our content, because there's not much going on apart from the tennis. It's Olympics as well, but we'll be back next week, hopefully talking about the women's Olympics. Hopefully Rory can find a time in his busy schedule over in Paris to join us. Remember to head across to the Bet Rivers website, check out all those prices. The Olympic prices as well will be up there as the tournament starts in how many? Is this it start Friday? Is it Friday the Olympics?
So the single starts on Saturday,
Right.
and the double starts on Sunday.
No, when the actual Olympics itself, not the tennis.
The Olympics itself, with the opening ceremonies on, I should know this. I think opening ceremonies on Thursday.
Okay, so Thursday, head across to the BetRivers website. There'll be a load of Olympic prices. There'll be a load of tennis prices. There'll be a load of odds available, all different sports available.
It's Friday. It's Friday. The opening ceremony's Friday.
Make sure Friday. Also, make sure you download the podcast, Betting Weekly WTA, on your preferred podcast provider, and also on YouTube. Betting Weekly Studios, it was a year anniversary yesterday. A year anniversary, and we've got a huge amount of subscribers, lots of views, and hopefully continuing that trend into our second year. So it's a year anniversary of doing this content. Hope you're enjoying it. I know lots of feedback from you are enjoying it, so thank you very much for that. And finally, give us a subscribe or a follow on our socials, Betting Weekly Studios on Twitter and Instagram. We can follow across all the different action that we have here. Obviously, the tennis is taking precedence now with so much no soccer, or we have the rest period across Europe. So hopefully Rory will be able to do some picks for us on the Olympics. I'll have a little word of him off air. RJ will be giving you some stuff on the Champions League. Champions League qualifiers start on Tuesday. And also he'll be looking ahead to the MLS at the weekend as well. So lots of content on our socials. Make sure you follow them at Because We Win on Instagram and on Twitter. Before I go sign off, Rory, for today, just give us a recap of your picks in these two tournaments this week over in Romania and in the Czech Republic.
Yep. So in Romania, in Iasi, I'm going 2 points each way on Irina Begu at $5. And in Prague, just the one bet for me, Magda Linette, 1 point each way at $10.
There you go. It was 9. We boosted it to 10. Hopefully you get those prices across to the BetRivers website. There is action being played now, but head across there tomorrow morning. I think it's the best time to do it. The market will be reformed and you'll be able to bet those prices on those picks there with Rory. Slightly behind on the year so far with Rory here, and slightly negative as well on the ATP Tour show as well. But we are keeping our prices up. We're not changing them. We're being honest with our bets. We're telling you the official plays. We're giving you the records as well. And there's a whole host, much more tennis. The Olympics next week, the US Open. There's some big 1,000 events of the WTA and the ATP Tour. Rory, thank you very much. Safe travels to Paris. Enjoy your time out there. Stay
Where are you
safe.
off to?
I'm off to Croatia in the morning to meet Mr. Calvert. We're going to go watch a bit of tennis in Croatia, in Umag. So there'll be a podcast from myself and Sean a little bit later on. You'll be able to see that as well. So make sure you head across all the content. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the Olympics. Enjoy your sport. And let's cash some tickets. Take care.